The last Amazon survival kit I reviewed was so bad, I figured the only logical thing to do was to buy another. This time, I went with a $15 kit with a 3.5 star rating. So just how bad is it? Stay tuned to find out. What's up everyone and welcome to Northeast Survival. Last week I bought and reviewed a cheap Amazon survival kit. It was right around $25 and had an overall rating of 4.5 stars. I knew when I purchased it that it was going to be terrible, but surprisingly it did have a handful of useful items. This kit I have less hope for, so let's get right into it. The box that this comes in is pretty much the same box as the last kit. It measures about 6 inches long, 3 3/4 inches wide, and about 2 inches thick. Has a plastic clasp on either side and then 2 in the front, but judging by how thin the plastic is, once you open this more than once or twice, these clips are going to break right off. When you open it up, there is an O-ring in the top, but I'm not sure exactly how much I'd trust this to keep the contents dry. They also put in this foam padding, which really serves no purpose whatsoever. And if it wasn't in there, everything would actually fit into this better. But let's take a look at the contents. The first thing we have is a wire survival saw. It's pretty much the same one that was in the last kit. This may get you through a couple of cuts, but in my experience, these rings always fall off. Next we have a set of keychain screwdrivers, which are actually kind of nice. I ordered a set of these off Amazon recently and they cost me about $8. So these are actually a nice addition to this. Next thing we have is a Mylar survival blanket. This one is 130 centimeters by 210 centimeters, which comes out to I think about 4 foot by just over 6.5 feet. These are great to wrap up in to stay warm or even to build a temporary shelter to keep the rain off from you. The thing about Mylar survival blankets is they are made to maintain your body temperature. So if you're warm and you want to stay warm, wrapping up in one of these will help. But if you're cold and pretty much hyperthermic and you wrap up in one of these, you don't have any body heat left to reflect back, so they're not really going to do you any good. In that scenario, your best bet is to build a fire and then use the reflective blanket to kind of reflect the heat back on yourself so that you can warm up. The next thing we have is a paracord survival bracelet. It's got a whistle, a compass, and a ferrocerium rod. The compass, I'm not sure how accurate that is. It seems to get stuck when I turn this. The paracord itself doesn't seem all that strong. It feels more like craft paracord than actual paracord. As for the whistle, absolutely nothing. Let's try the ferrocerium rod. And nothing from the ferrocerium rod. So we'll put this over here with the survival saw. Next thing we have is a bottle holder. One thing I do notice about this is unless you're wearing a very narrow belt, this probably is not going to fit. And then the actual bottle hook on here is meant for bottles that have a longer neck. So if you're using a water bottle that has a short neck, this probably isn't going to work. Next we have a flashlight, which is completely busted. So that's of completely no use. We have a standard ferrocerium rod. This is just a typical 3-inch by 1/4-inch ferro rod. Then the striker actually has a metric ruler on it and a bottle opener. Comes with a tactical pen. It's actually the same exact thing that was in the other kit that I reviewed. Glass breaker on one end and then a pen on the other. This one actually feels a little bit cheaper than the last one. I don't know how much I would trust this. It just feels like it's going to break. So we'll put that in that pile. Comes with another survival whistle. This one's definitely a lot better than the one that came on the bracelet. So we'll put that in this pile. Comes with a compass. This feels extremely cheap. Has a rotating bezel, and when I turn the bezel, the needle of the compass actually turns with it. So I would not call that accurate. We also have one of the credit card multi-tools. Here's everything that's with it. You can pause the video if you want to see. Like I said in the last review, these are definitely very gimmicky. This one actually has a sharp edge on it, unlike the other one. And I guess it would be good for opening a bottle. But we're going to put that in this pile. And then the last thing we have is a folding knife. And it's just a normal lockback design. Has about a 2.5 to 3 inch blade. Clip on the end. Feels fairly sharp. But the one thing I notice about this is there is so much give in the blade. I wouldn't trust this for anything. Put that over here. Now that we've looked at the contents, let's talk about what we can do to make this kit better. First of all, take these 4 items and set them aside. These other items can actually be added to another bag that will benefit you in the long run. Let me show you how. Perfect. I think that was the perfect bag for that part of the kit. To be fair, we did get 4 mostly usable items. Not high quality, but definitely usable. So, there you have it, a 3.5 star Amazon survival kit made in China. I'm not going to even bother giving a final opinion because I'm sure it's pretty obvious. In all reality, I bought this kit knowing that it was going to be complete trash. I wanted to show just how horrible these no-name kits are so that no one buys one intending to actually use it in an emergency. I know I've said in past videos that something is always better than nothing, but when you buy items that are going to break on the first use, you're doing nothing more than adding frustration to an already high-stress situation. So the bottom line is, try to get brand name gear. There's several decent brands that sell really good budget gear that will last you just as long as the more expensive alternatives. I'm actually planning to do some reviews of my favorite budget items in future videos. I've added links in the description below to some of my favorite budget items that I'd recommend to anyone looking to put together an emergency kit or even to add to a camping pack. That said, thanks for stopping by to check out my video. If you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. If not, then go ahead and give it a thumbs down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.